Okay, guys, here's the question of the week. It's pretty simple. I put it up on social media also this week. So if you had to pick one Stephen King book or story that you would want turned into film, or I guess one movie that's already been remade, what would it be? And let's start with you, Phil.
Probably the Dark Tower series, because I'm too lazy to read 45 books. I read 2 of them, and I was like, fuck, I can't, I just can't. Mm-hmm. It's really good, but damn.
It's so many
books. It's like 4,000 pages.
Yeah. What about you, Joel, our special guest for the evening?
I would have to say I'd like to see Salem's Lot be remade, but get like a hardcore director, maybe like the guy who did the most recent Evil Dead, or David Slade, the guy who did 30 Days a Night.
Oh yeah, I can see that. What's wrong with the original Salem's Lot? It's a perfectly legit movie.
I know. I just don't recall anywhere in vampire lore where your skin turns purple. I think that one got lost in translation somewhere.
I'm gonna have to go with the Langoliers. Like, I fucking...
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Dude, I fucking love that story, but the movie is dickhole. Like, it's so fucking bad. It's one of those really shitty made-for-TV Stephen King movies that they make 4 times a year, and it's such a fucking good story. It's like totally Twilight Zone, but it could totally be made into an awesome movie, but that movie is just poopsicle.
You don't like...
Just frozen poop?
You don't like Balky Bob Tacos?
No, fuck everything about that movie. Everything.
I had a hard time during that movie not just singing the Perfect Strangers theme song every time he's on. He comes on screaming about I have a business meeting, and I'm just going, stand tall on the wings of my dreams. Sorry, continue.
I have to talk to Cousin Larry!
Well, but the monsters in that movie looked like they were made in fucking Microsoft Paint. It was awful. Like, it was
what if they actually did make them in Microsoft?
Probably were. It was just... It looked like something that a baby wiped his ass with his hand and rubbed on the screen. Like, it just looked like a brown blob with teeth drawn on it.
That's not completely inaccurate. Let's see. He's got so many ones that are really bad movies.
Oh, yeah. But he does have some good shit out there, too.
Yeah, he has good things and bad things. And,
mostly bad things.
Yeah, but enough good stuff that I condone him continuing to make movies.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter if I didn't, because right now on his IMDb page, it's like 15 movies in post-production.
Yeah, pretty much anything that we could suggest to remake or make is being made.
Yeah.
It's already done.
Stand By Me 2. That's what I need to see.
Well,
I want to know what happens with that Kiefer Sutherland.
So you just think basically anything?
Anything, because we're going to see whatever it is.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
I can't believe they're making a fucking movie about Cell. Jesus Christ.
Well, Stand By Me is a good segue into the episode, so let's get to that.
Aren't you going to let our guest answer the question?
He did. He said Salem's Lot.
Oh, Salem's Lot, yeah. Oh, I forgot. That was a while ago.
Yeah, Joel, way to have a completely unrememberable answer.
Like most of my relationships, anything I say is completely forgotten within 5 minutes.
It's because they're too busy looking at your dick.
Well, that goes without saying.
Speaking of Stand By Me, let's get into the episode. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen the Roast Rosenberg.
Phil the Kill Collins.
And DeHart.
And today we have a special guest all the way from...
Seymour, Indiana.
Okay, you're the opposite
nice.
direction. You're back toward the way me and Philip and DeHart actually grew up, which is Scottsburg.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we are too.
Yeah, we're very sorry about that.
And you run a podcast called the Pod People Podcast, which is kind of similar to Motion Picture Meltdown, right?
Yes, sir.
And I saw that you haven't had a whole lot of episodes up. Is this kind of like a newer thing you got going on, or?
Yeah, it's a newer thing, and I had about 12 episodes all lined up, ready to go. I have the notes ready, and then everyone just sort of went, no. So I'm just trying to get guests back on.
Cool, I understand.
Yeah, that's how we were in the beginning. We had such a hard time scheduling everything, and people would just drop out of the episode at the last second. It's like, fuck. Well.
Yeah. Well, and he already has a one-up on us because his first few episodes are like way better microphone quality than we had at that point.
Steven,
this was
obviously.
This was like...
You were recording with like a 14-year-old mic at that time that I'm pretty sure wasn't even for computers.
No, I don't think it was.
Just made out of wood.
Segueing from Stand By Me, let's talk about Misery, because it was directed by the same guy, Rob Reiner, who also directed When Harry Met Sally, A Few Good Men, and The Princess Bride. So, pretty acclaimed director. It's from 1990, starring Kathy Bates, who got her Best Actress Oscar from this, which I believe she damn well deserved.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she earned every inch of that gold-plated man.
Wow.
And
that sounded dirty. I
Yeah.
didn't even realize it till it came out. My bad.
I never knew an Oscar could be so phallic.
James Caan, or Can, I've heard it said both ways, but he is nominated for The Godfather. He plays Paul Sheldon in this movie. And then really the only other notable role I'd say is Richard Farnsworth, who plays Buster, the sheriff.
And, those are pretty much the only people in the movie.
Yeah, there's a sheriff's wife, but she's just a pain in the ass.
The guy from the store, the publicist.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
I know Lauren Bacall is somewhere in this movie. I just cannot remember where she is.
I think she's the publicist.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay. Took me a moment,
and
sorry.
You see her for like 2 scenes, I think, so I didn't really think she was worth mentioning.
She has a whole 2 sentences,
So, the premise of Misery being Paul Sheldon is a writer who is famous for the Misery series, which is basically like, I guess, romance, thriller type shit.
It sounds like adult Babysitter's Club to me. Or maybe not even adult baby, just Babysitter's Club. It sounds really fucking shitty.
It sounds like VC Andrews bullshit.
Yeah.
Like the shit that you go down to Book and Music Exchange and they're like, buy 1 book and we'll give you 4 VC Andrews books with this.
You just look at the shelf and it's like, oh look, you can get all the books in the series. But then I wouldn't be able to carry all of them home because there's 2,000.
Yeah, well, not only that, but you buy one and they give you 14 same copies of the same one.
It's like, please take these, give them to your friends.
That's
get them
how
out
you
of
get
here.
on the bestsellers list. If you buy one, you get 14 free. You sold 15.
Yeah, but we're talking about it like Book and Music Exchange where they're only 15 cents a piece anyway. So, but anyway, he goes to Colorado, a small town, in which they actually reference in the book and the movie that this is not too far from the Overlook Hotel from The Shining. Yeah,
because it's in Colorado, it's in the mountains, it's in the no man's land, basically.
Well, basically, when you have Stephen King, you have
it's either going to be in Maine or Colorado.
Like those are your 2
It's the only places he knows how to write about.
Yeah, every once in a while you get a couple of books that take place in North Carolina because he has a home on the coast of North Carolina and also vacations there quite a bit.
11/22/63 was mostly in Texas, so there's that.
Well, yeah. But that's kind of like a historical book, though, isn't it? Like, it kind of feeds off of...
Pretty much 99% of the story is not historical.
Okay. Well,
it's just based loosely on events that did actually happen.
Yeah, there was a Kennedy, but other than that, the book just kind of takes a left turn.
Pretty fucking much.
He decides that, he's finished with his book in his hotel, and it's time to book it, and decides to drive like 90 miles an hour through fucking snowy mountains.
It's like, you know what you do whenever it starts getting snowier and snowier and you're driving a car that has no anti-lock brakes or power steering and you're in the mountains? Just go as fast as you can and turn your windshield wipers off. Stupid fuck.
Yeah, like, I felt like the harder it snowed, the faster he was fucking going.
It's like, here's a fucking thought. Pull over. Slow the fuck down for 2 seconds.
I think when they were writing James Caan's character, I think they were still stuck in the Corleone phase, thinking he was one of the Godfather's kids. So they're just like, oh, so Sonny Corleone wouldn't slow down. So you just imagine James Caan going, fuck this snow. Fuck you. I'm going.
I'm not going to slow down. Snow is going to slow down for me.
Snow, you touch my car again and I'm going to beat you to death.
With your own snow.
There we go.
Good.
I'll feed you your own snow testicles.
So, obviously, he fucking drives off the side of the road.
Right.
And smashes into a fucking tree and flips his car. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but the feint that he does in that car is so fucking funny looking. Like he's like raising his head and then just... It was like the most typical I just died face.
Acting.
Yeah.
So Kathy Bates behemoths along and behemoths the door open and behemoths him out of the car.
Yeah. And actually, there were some other actresses that wanted to try out for this role that were turned down. I think Angelica Houston was one, and what's that singer's? Oh, Bette Midler was another one.
But there just wasn't enough dinosaur blood in their veins. There had to be...
You just imagine Bette Midler doing that. It'd just be great. It'd be like, no, you're going to need to rewrite this. Why? Because you are the wind beneath wings.
Yeah, and even Rob Reiner was like, listen, I've read Misery about 100 times, and Annie Wilkes needs to be a butch ass fucking woman. And
Not just
Bate,
butch, but a fucking linebacker.
yeah, seriously. She could definitely break some ribs in the NFL, I feel like. At least in 1990. Now she looks like a pile of half-eaten sausages.
Actually, after watching About Schmidt, that's kind of what her nipples look like.
Oh my god, I knew someone was going to fucking bring up that movie. I've never even seen it, but I still see that
Anytime I get to talk about Kathy Bates' titties, I do it. Like right now, I'm harder than a diamond in an ice storm. Oh, yeah.
I just don't understand, like, if you're going to show your tits in your career, why pick the
Why
time
wait
in
till
your
you're
career?
2,000-year-old?
Yeah, it's like, okay, when I may have been moderately attracted to some people in, like, the early 90s and late 80s, I could have showed my tits then, but instead I'm just going to do it when I'm 420.
Well, if you do it when you're older, then you're brave.
Oh, and it's
And
art.
it's brave and it's artistic, and you might get an award for it.
That's
If you do it when you're younger, you're just a slut.
Yeah.
There's just no win-win here.
There's a win for us if they're young. It's
And if they're old, we just want to die.
Side question, best old titties on screen, who?
I can't really think of that many old titties.
They generally keep them out of movies, I think. Because it makes people never watch them again, like About Schmidt.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping you guys would come up with something I could look up, because now I'm just stuck on.
Didn't Helen Hunt do a movie where she was like almost completely naked through it?
Yeah, I think recently.
like
But
last
Helen
year or
Hunt's
something
not
like
really
that.
that old. Like, she's in her 50s, I think.
She's old enough.
She's old, unless she has had...
Dude, I don't give a shit how old you are. If you're fucking hot, like, what's her name from...
That doesn't mean your boobs won't get all super saggy and
Well,
old-looking.
there's a lot of, like, there's even fucking 16, 70-year-old actresses out there that are just tittylicious.
Yeah, it's called surgery, Steven. They have it.
Don't care.
Retarded.
So let's get back to the movie.
Tittylicious.
These titties are saggy. We have the technology. We can rebuild them. The bionic tits.
Like you said, Kathy Bates pulls Paul Sheldon out of his wrecked-ass car, and...
For some reason, has to give him CPR, which I didn't understand. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
he's been in there long enough to be dead if he required CPR.
And he would have been just, like, immediately passed out at that point, I feel like, if he needed CPR. Like, he wouldn't just be, like, lingering on and then he'll just go... I felt like he just kind of fainted from exhaustion, not fainted from, like, collapsed fucking lung or whatever the hell it was.
Or fainted from having his legs broken into 2,000 pieces.
Right.
Can we just all get on the same page that she's not a very good nurse?
It's like, maybe she just gave him CPR because she's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, at first I thought, well, he seems to be doing okay. Maybe she was a decent nurse. And then you take a look at his legs, and they are fucked.
Speaking of half-eaten sausages, those legs.
Yeah, so she drags him back to her house. Well, puts him in her car and takes him back to her house.
Right.
Doesn't literally drag him back to the fucking house.
No, she just straight picks him up like he's just a 5-pound bag of salt.
Right.
Because that's awesome for people with back or neck injuries, especially after a wreck. She's a great fucking nurse.
Yeah. Well, literally, she didn't
she's a
give
kidnapper first, and then a nurse second.
Yeah. And an obsessive fuck third.
Yeah,
Well,
maybe that's first.
Yeah.
That's first.
Yeah. So
She's got her priorities straight.
he wakes up and she's just like creepily standing over him
Yeah.
and glaring at him. And she kind of talks to him a little bit before he goes out of consciousness. And
He's in and out because she's giving him a lot of pain meds and trying to basically keep him out so he doesn't throw up constantly from pain.
right. And you kind of get the gist that, a few days have gone by. And then finally he wakes up.
I'm your number one fan. I'm your number one fan. It's like, stop fucking saying it.
We get the picture.
So you're his number one fan? Is that right?
Well, she might have only said it once, and it kept repeating because of his massive head trauma.
Regardless.
Left untreated.
It's like, here, just take a bunch of pain medicine. You'll be fine. Take a salt tablet. Walk it off.
Walk it off. Walk off those compound fractured legs, sir. Don't be a pussy.
Just bones sticking out.
He kind of gets the gist that he thinks that she's nice at first, and she's like, "Oh, I know you've been reading, or I know you've been writing because I follow all your books. I'm your number one fan." Blah blah blah. And he, thinks he's in good hands, and that she's calling his daughter and publicist, and they know where he is, and all this shit. And then she finds his rough draft.
Yeah, she reads his manuscript for his new book, which hasn't even been edited yet.
He does give her permission
Yeah,
to
he
do
does.
it.
He does.
Yeah.
Which he should have totally not done. It's like, oh, I want you to... It's like, I really want you to have the surprise. I'll give you the first printed issue.
It doesn't fucking matter because she was going to do it anyway because she
was
was a
gonna say,
psychopath.
Yeah, she was a psychopath.
She's like, this could be another misery book. I gotta read it.
Right.
She knew what it was because apparently he'd got on some interview on like Merv Griffin, which is obviously this movie is from 1,000 years ago. And,
It was actually just Kramer on the Merv Griffin set.
said his writing process where he always goes to the same place, he always goes to the same routine, and so she saw the thing there. It's like, oh, well, he's completed his routine, and he would be dead if it weren't for me.
So I'm reading his fucking book.
Exactly.
Right, but either way, he doesn't know that she's completely out of her goddamn mind at this point.
Right. Well, this is the kind of point that he figures it out, because after he allows her to read the manuscript, she comes back and kind of tells him that she's not really a big fan because she doesn't really like the swearing in it. He asks, her opinion about it, and they kind of argue about it, and this is what she says.
What do you think I say when I go to the feed store in town? Oh, now, Wally, give me a bag of that effing pig feed and 10 pounds that bitchly cow corn. And in the bank, do I tell Mrs. Bollinger, oh, here's one big bastard of a check. Give me some of your Christing money. There, look there. See what you made me do.
And this is where we wish to God that this was a video podcast. Because, Jesus, that look on his face...
Oh,
he's so confused and terrified.
It's one of the best reactions I've ever seen in a movie. It's like, and that's one of the things I'm a big fan of this movie for, is James Caan's fucking, like, just emotional reactions to everything she does in this movie are perfect.
Yeah.
Like, they are perfect. His looks, his reactions, his faces, everything. Yeah. Like, I love it.
If I ever win the lottery, I'm getting one of those big bastards of a checks, and I'm taking to the bank and saying,
give me some Christing money!
I was really surprised with James Caan in this movie because primarily he plays the tough guy, the gangster, the, hey, how you doing there, jackass, that kind of guy.
Yeah.
But in this one, this is one of the very few movies I've ever seen where he goes completely against typecast, and I really wish when he was more of a bigger star that he had done more mainstream roles like this.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it was fucking amazing.
It was good. And actually, one of the big reasons that he got the role in this movie is because other actors didn't want to look as vulnerable as he did on screen. Like, there was a lot of actors that turned down the role for this part because they thought that...
I mean, you spend the entire movie crippled and in bed and at the mercy of this crazy woman.
Right, they thought that his part was way outshadowed by Kathy Bates anyway, and then they were like, oh, well... The minute that he gets hobbled or breaks his legs or anything like that, he's just a complete pussy for the rest of the movie. And that's why they didn't want the part after they read the script.
Which is, I mean...
It's preposterous, I know.
They're fucking lost because he's fucking perfect in it.
Right.
So, Bruce Willis was reading the script, and he's like, okay, so she breaks my leg, so when do I get the machine gun?
Well, actually, Jack Nicholson turned down the role for this part. It seems like Jack Nicholson turns down the role for every fucking part in every movie.
Well, maybe they should stop offering everything to him.
Yeah.
Well, they do now.
Yeah.
They're finally done. It's like, okay, we're sick of Kathy Bates' titties, and we're also sick of you pissing everybody off on set.
Wasn't Jack Nicholson in About Schmidt?
Yes, that's why I referenced it.
But he turned down the role because of all the backlash that he got from Stephen King from The Shining movie. So he said he didn't really want to work on another movie that Stephen King wrote.
Oh, Stephen King didn't like it.
No, he hated The Shining movie. Yeah.
Well, Stephen King's a dumbass.
I don't know. I'm up and up with that. I like things about it, but I like things about the book way more.
Well, of course.
Stephen King is a big promoter of the, I think it was early 2000 remake of The Shining with Steven Weber from Wings.
Yeah, he was doing a Jack Nicholson impersonation the whole fucking movie.
That was actually in the late 90s, and I believe that the director who did that movie also directed Sleepwalkers, by the way.
Yeah, you had to know that. So.
You talked about it on your episode of the podcast where you talked about Sleepwalkers. He did the TV version, I think.
Yeah, it was
a
made for TV.
3-part episode.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I've been trying to mark that out of my head. God damn it.
Well,
that clip we just listened to was kind of the first part of the movie where you really start to see that Annie Wilkes is
she
just...
becomes completely unhinged, and you're like, yeah, she's probably going to kill him in his sleep.
Yeah.
But she comes unhinged in the most fun ways.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like when she's yelling at that guy about the cock-a-doodie car.
Oh God!
Just coincidentally, while Paul Sheldon is all fucked up at her house, his last Misery book is hitting the shelves.
Right, which was the one where he kills off her favorite character that she loved so much she named her pig after it.
Yeah. Which is exactly what I want if I'm crippled in bed, is a fucking gigantic pig just snorting all over me.
No, wait, are we talking about an actual pig or are we talking about Kathy Bates?
Well, I mean, pretty much both. But
Yeah. Did you see his fucking face whenever that pig was snorting? Like, all of his faces were
They're
so fucking good.
fucking memorable.
Like, whenever she's explaining the drive-in movie theater to him and stuff, the cereals.
Yeah.
And she's, like, waving around his little container of piss.
Yeah.
And there just might be... You're like, is there piss gonna spill on him? And he's looking straight at that container. He doesn't give a shit what
Those are
she's
two
saying.
different. Those are two different points. But either way, she at one point is holding a container of piss that he just peed into. It's just like a little like plastic urinal, and then she's just shaking it at him.
I almost feel like they didn't give him a real script. They just gave him like an outline. It's like, hey, just react to this stuff. And it's like, just use your regular voice and just say whatever comes to mind when somebody does this fucking nuts shit.
Well, that's part of the brilliance about this movie, though, is because the majority of the movie takes place with only two characters, and it takes
In the
really,
same room.
Yeah, it takes really strong actors to be able to carry an entire fucking almost 2-hour-long movie with hardly talking, because majority of the book is him being by himself with his thoughts. So a lot of the book is his inner monologue, and this movie would have been fucking stupid if it was just like his inner monologue talking over the whatever's
it
happening.
may as well have been a fucking an audio like there's a radio show or something. It was so
Right.
It would be so pointless.
So the fact that he had such good faces and such good reactions and things was really strong for his character, because it really allowed you to see the torment that he was going through while he was being basically tortured by obviously tortured by this.
Way tortured.
Because after this point, she reads his book in like one fucking day, his new book, and just goes ape shit on him in the middle of the night. Like, if I was fucked up, like, especially on painkillers and
you're crippled and can move.
Yeah.
And someone comes in there and just starts breaking furniture. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Since there's nothing that I can possibly say to make fun of this movie, because I just simply can't. It's perfect. Like, there's everything about, I mean, the shotgun blast for the sheriff.
Yeah, I love that part.
Amazing special effect. I mean, they even managed to squeeze a great special effect into this movie.
Well, not just that, but whenever she hobbles him with the sledgehammer, the way his foot.
Oh, God, those feet.
Seriously, that's
I
cute.
know. Or the way that part goes in the book is she takes a blowtorch and fires up an axe blade, and she cuts off his foot, rams salt, I think, into the wound, and then
that was
ties
plenty.
it off.
That was plenty.
It was plenty gory enough.
Yeah. Well, that's what Rob Reiner said. Reiner wanted that scene with the axe in there, but he let it get filmed like this, and once he saw it, he kept it. He was like, "Fuck it,
it's fucking intense."
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make it. It makes it. I think it cheapens it even maybe a little bit, because it
Yeah,
turns it into something about gore more than it is about like true terror.
Right.
It seems like if she went that far, it's beyond. I'm keeping you here for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm going to rip you apart until you do what I want you to do.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's what she does in the book. She even ends up cutting off one of his thumbs, or I think maybe even
something
both.
like that.
I know she cuts off one of his digits with one of those electric turkey knives for Thanksgiving. It's like, just in the middle of the night, for no fucking reason in the book, she just kicks the door down and cuts off one of his thumbs. It's like, fuck!
And he knows that there's no length that she won't go, because that point where she makes him burn his new script because she hates it, his new manuscript, I'm sorry.
Right.
She's just like flinging lighter fluid all over him.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
if you're not going to burn this, then I'm going to burn you.
Yeah, I'm going to set my whole house on fire, because that's probably what would happen. If I set your legs on fire.
Then she would set herself on fire and die with him.
Yeah.
Intermix their ashes.
This was the first book I read by Stephen King, and it's always going to be one of my favorites. And the character of Annie Wilkes is just so interesting to me, because you don't ever really find out enough about her. Like, you find out about all the
Crazy shit she did.
Yeah, like the baby murdering and stuff, and you automatically know she's a complete piece of shit because she's just a baby murderer.
Well, she hints at it. Like, she goes off the rails when her husband leaves her,
Right.
and then she starts, hitting it hard at work, which basically means killing babies in their sleep.
Well, the scrapbook made it look like maybe her husband didn't leave her.
Yeah.
It's like he kind of left Earth. He left the living.
He was afraid that she was going to leave him.
And for me, going back to that hobbling scene, what I think was not just the actual visuals and the sound of the goddamn fucking hobbling.
That was awful.
Yeah, but it was Kathy Bates at the beginning and just during it. It was the tone and the way she was looking at the guy, at James Caan. And it was just like talking to those like, I did an interview a while back with one of those crazy fucks from the Westboro Baptist Church.
Oh, good.
Oh, wow. It's probably the same.
Well, yeah, what the similarities between the two is they always just talk like this, and it was about the most disturbing stuff on the planet. Like, God wants you to cut off your dick with a barbed wire. And she's like, now I'm just trying to help you. Don't worry, it'll be over soon. And that, for me, was the creepiest part. Because I was just like, oh, fuck,
well,
God damn it.
When he wakes up and she's just standing over him, tying him to the fucking bed saying, I know you've been out. Because my penguin is faced the wrong way. Like,
couldn't have been her hog that just runs through the house at fucking random.
Well, the hog wouldn't have set it back up in the wrong way.
It could have hit it and just spin it around.
Well, in the book, she ties hairs to everything.
Yeah,
everything.
She tapes a hair to each door frame and to every book and everything in her house,
pages.
so that whenever you open it or turn a book open, it'll break the hair, but you won't even notice because it's so thin. It'll be yeah, it's real fucking psycho shit.
Yeah. Real psycho.
Yeah.
I really like when she's talking about the cliffhangers and she's referring to Rocket Man. It's like, I know exactly the episode she was talking about because it was Commander Cody, and they used to play those shorts in front of Mystery Science Theater episodes.
Yeah.
Okay, at first I was going to be like, me and Philip don't know what that is because we're not 2,000
years old. If we don't drink the blood of the innocent.
Well, no, I only know it from Mystery Science Theater. I haven't watched Commander Cody episodes.
We know that back when you were a child, cereals were pretty popular in the movie theater. Well, the like 4 movie theaters that were around.
Yeah.
Cost you a nickel, you stay all day.
But yeah, that scene was just fucking ridiculous. And all meanwhile, while this is going on, the sheriff of the small town is like doing some hardcore investigative work by reading the Misery novels.
That was such a bizarre roundabout way for him to find out where...
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there was no other way for him to know.
Aside from, him actually finding the car, which was pretty cut and dry, like you look for a car that probably crashed on the side of the road.
Right.
Complete fucking coincidental circumstance that he happened to read the same line from a book and write it down, and then... read the exact same quote from a newspaper. Give me a fucking break.
The reason, I think that they were hinting that he remembered, that happening, and he remembered reading it. He seemed to, really latch onto that quote once he read it. He was like, that sounds super familiar and, really sticks in my mind.
Okay, that would make more sense.
I still think it's just way too coincidental.
It's just total bullshit that he was just like, I know how I'll get to the bottom of this. Read 50 books. That'll be a really time-effective way to get to the bottom of this mystery. Or I could just search the 5 fucking houses that are within my district.
Exactly. And maybe do a background check on those 5 fucking houses and see...
It's like, this person was accused of killing 1 million babies. Maybe she did it.
And just happens to be there in line waiting for the Paul show... the one-person line...
to get this book,
out of the fucking general store.
Question, how did she manage not to be in jail for the baby slayings that were in the paper?
Because she had amnesia when she was on the stand. Don't you remember?
I don't remember how they explain it in the book. I think that she was just never,
they just didn't have enough evidence.
Proved. She was
too good at killing babies.
Fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, it is a specialized field, so once you're into it, I can understand how you might be able to get away with it. It takes a certain skill set, and that might explain why the sheriff didn't quite think about her being it. It was like, well, she killed babies, and he's a grown man. I think we're all right then. Never mind. She must be fine.
Oh my goodness.
And I was kind of disappointed with the role that they got for the sheriff. I mean, he was okay. But once again, and I do this a lot. When I read a book, I compare the movie to the book a lot, and I do realize it's not
bad idea.
Well, yeah, it is, and it's never going to be the same. But
Perfect.
here's the rebuttal I have for that. That obviously you're not going to get the feel of the story 100% right, but you can get, the entire book is about characterization, and you can cast somebody that looks like they're supposed to look.
Yeah.
And
you just don't think they cast the right guy look-wise?
No, I didn't. And they left an entire big role out. There was actually 2 cops in the book. One was a very large man, and the other one was a medium-sized man.
One of them gets run over by a fucking lawnmower.
Yeah, in the book, and that's actually one of the scenes Kathy Bates was super excited about doing. It was a scene where she grabs a crucifix and stabs it into the back of this cop's neck, and he falls down on the ground. And then she runs over him with a lawnmower.
Runs over his fucking head.
Yeah. So once again, I think that
cheated now.
right.
I feel like this movie fucking cheated me, because when you said grab the crucifix, I was thinking, oh yeah, she's gonna. Is this like she goes insane and starts doing the Exorcist thing and just starts pounding herself with it? Oh Jesus! Oh.
And then she gets her super old lady tits out at that point. Then it's the perfect trifecta.
And is yelling "fuck me" at Paul Sheldon.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
Fuck me.
It's like I'm really glad that they pared it down to somewhere in the realm of reality.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that would work great as like a Japanese slasher movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there's
It would
no
work
way.
so great with this,
Yeah, it's totally silly.
I mean, because it's like taking her out of like menacing superfan to intentionally wanting to murder everybody for no reason.
Yeah. Well, she does it because they are searching her house, basically. I mean,
right. I mean, she doesn't just go to the police station and kill all the 4 police officers.
Yeah, I mean, it is reminiscent.
Which she could have done.
It is reminiscent.
They're going to come looking for the sheriff.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. It was reminiscent of what happened in the movie, because she fucking blows the shit out of that sheriff with a shotgun.
Oh, I feel so bad for those guys.
Which something similar happens in the book, I'm pretty sure, to the final police officer.
Yeah, something like that. He gets stabbed or shot or something and falls down the basement stairs.
It's hard to remember. I kept waiting when I was watching this movie for the scene where she knocks the soup against the wall and then like cleans it up and then makes him drink the mop water.
Yeah.
Because that happens in the book, and I was like, God, I can't wait for that to happen. I was like, oh wait, it didn't happen in this.
Yeah, that probably would have worked.
So
but,
gross and brutal.
You gotta keep the time down.
And
yeah, I mean,
and
it would
I'm
have been a 15-hour movie.
And I'm not sure, like I said, I'm not a novel writer and I'm not a movie director, so it's hard to tell that when a writer meets with a director and they kind of talk about how the movie's going to be, whether or not the writer intentionally wants things left out of the movie to keep the book special for people, or to keep people to read the book after they see the movie. It's like, maybe...
Or to not read it and go, well, should have just watched the movie and forgot about the book.
Yeah.
Actually, that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, I just feel like that by promoting his own movies that are made off of his books, he's going to want people to read. He's wanting that
to promote him as an author as well, obviously.
Exactly. So it's like, maybe he leaves those certain things out when because he writes the screenplays for a lot of these movies.
He didn't write this one.
Right. But what I'm saying
is... I was trying to find ones where he actually wrote maybe he writes a lot of the screenplays and not the scripts or something.
Yeah, he doesn't write the scripts. He does do the screenplays
He
a lot.
wrote the movie we're getting ready to do, Sleepwalkers, and which is why it was so retarded. Are you ready to go back there?
No. You know what? Let's just continue this. I got the perfect description how to differentiate these 2 movies. Please continue. I'm just fucking waiting for the nightmare to begin.
So, of course, she makes him burn his manuscript and gives him all the stuff he needs, because she's going to make
all the stuff he needs except for the letter N.
Right. Not only that, there was a couple other letters that were left out, I feel like, too.
No, in the book there was a couple letters.
Oh, okay, yeah. But anyway, she gives him all the stuff he needs to write a new mystery novel in which she just magically comes back from the dead, or was never actually killed, or something.
Which was pretty clever writing on his part, but still complete bullshit.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're in a coma. When you're buried in the underground for 4 days or 5 days, you dehydrate and you die. Or you suffocate from no...
Pufferfish venom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Slows the metabolic process down to a crawl, to where you cannot tell sleep from death. I've seen that in so many fucking...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I mean, it's a wonderful trope.
Notably...
Started by Shakespeare, of course.
I would say notably the one I'm thinking of is a movie called Living Death, in which...
Well, I've seen it in a lot of Buried Alive type movies, but apparently they get that from the Haitian type zombies.
Does he use that for the book?
Which?
The pufferfish venom?
I don't know.
Does Paul Sheldon... Does he say anything about that?
No.
Oh, okay, I didn't know whether this was something you made up or something I missed.
I don't even remember if that's how he brings her back.
It's
how he
something
brings
like that.
Misery
Like
back
it's some
into
kind of coma.
I know that she's not actually dead. They just thought she was dead.
The problem that we're running into right now is a symptom of the fact that Kathy Bates and James Caan were fucking perfect for this, and the movie and the book turn into the same thing. After you've seen the movie and read the book, they basically meld into one, and you can't distinguish between the two of them unless you've just watched it.
And you can't read the book after you watch the movie without envisioning both of these people.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, they are those people.
Yeah.
Which is what makes this movie so good, and why she definitely deserved an Oscar for it.
Yeah, for sure. And I believe she was the first female villain to ever win an Oscar, and maybe the only one. I can't think of any other female villains to win. But
well, there aren't tons of female villains anyway.
Yeah.
Villains are generally dudes, because dudes are assholes.
So it gets to the point where the cop is now dead, and she knows that eventually people are going to come, and she thinks that she should just kill him and then kill herself, and then that'll be the end of it.
Yeah.
But he talks her into writing this last book, or finishing the last book.
He only has like a chapter left or whatever.
Right. And little does she know, while he is writing and she is, not in the room, he's just straight doing fucking, like, weightlifting with this typewriter to get his arm strong
so
again.
He can beat her to death with it.
Which he fucking does,
well,
basically.
He tries to. The one thing that I thought was kind of unbelievable was that he was able to write an entire chapter of a book with a can of lighter fluid shoved up his ass. I thought that was kind of ridiculous.
Well, Christopher Walken was capable of living through a POW camp with an uncomfortable piece of metal up his ass, so it's not entirely unplausible.
I think you said that wrong. It's his ass.
His ass!
It's uncomfortable metal. It's up my ass. Wow. Sorry.
He finishes the book, and she goes to get him his, cigarette and match and all that shit. And he just,
he gets ultimate writer revenge. He's like, hey, you know all that shit you've always wanted to know about Misery? It's going up in flames right now, bitch.
Yeah.
That's so, just imagine that from the perspective of a superfan. Imagine your favorite series comes to a halt at you about to learn everything you ever wanted to know, and then everything is gone, and you'll never know.
I know.
Oh, so you mean the series finale of Lost? The one where I threw the remote at the TV and broke the TV. I know exactly how that feels.
And how a lot of people felt about The Sopranos, too.
So then you can understand why Kathy Bates would try to put the manuscript out with her fucking hands.
Yes. And that is at which point James Caan just straight fucking, Looney Tunes anvils her head with this fucking typewriter, dude.
Which would have killed a normal person, especially any normal woman.
Yeah.
But, of course, she's not even fazed by this.
Yeah.
She's She-Hulk.
Yeah.
She is She-Hulk.
She's a fucking behemoth.
And
they get into one of the
she
most...
immediately gets up after that, too.
The most ridiculous knockdown, drag-out fight I've ever seen.
Oh, God.
So much ass-whooping. She just stabbing her eyes with his thumbs, and just fucking...
Well, and don't forget that whenever they're rolling on the ground...
From now on, by the way, that's just known as Prince Oberyn.
Yeah. The mountain crush. but that's what I was yelling at Brady, too. I was like, she's getting the mountain! And her eyes bleed, too.
Yeah, he got her.
So they're rolling around on the ground, and then he, like you said, Joel, he straight turns into Sonny Corleone at this point, because at this point he says...
Hey, you want it? You want it? Eat it! Eat it to yourself, you sick, twisted fuck!
So perfect.
It's so satisfying, I swear.
I know,
he's cramming handfuls of ash into her mouth.
I know.
At this point, she's not subdued yet.
No.
But he doesn't care. He's like, "Fuck you, bitch! I'm gonna force feed you this book right now in the middle of this fight, which is not over."
Once again, going back to how awesome he portrays emotion, so good. And then she runs at him, and he grabs his sweatpants and swings his broken leg into her legs to trip her.
And she does a fucking faceplant on the typewriter, and it's so nice.
It's a great sound. It's because it almost makes that cash register sound.
Yeah, it's like a ringing, but also combined with the ultimate thud of her body hitting the ground and her face hitting the typewriter on the corner.
Very good foley on
that meaty thump sound.
Yeah. Mixed with a nice satisfying ding.
And
but of course, she's
not
dead.
Still not fucking dead. So he crawls out into the hallway, and she once again jumps on him, and then he just straight beats the fucking shit out of her head with that.
It's this iron statue of a pig, and
Yeah.
just smokes her.
Yeah, doorstop.
It says
Fucking
misery on it.
fucking no, I don't think it was a doorstop. I think it was like a trophy, like an award or something she got. For
No,
a
it
thing.
wasn't a trophy because it was cast iron and it was on the floor next to it. It was probably was a doorstop, but how fucking funny would it have been if he hit her in the face with it and it like imprinted the word misery?
Oh my fucking god!
That would have been too much.
That would have been the ultimate. Well, I mean, it would have been terrible, but it would have been
And
funny
then you
as
just
shit.
hear wah 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 wah. And she falls over
Little
dead.
bird sounds going around her head at that point.
Yeah.
Oh, so fucking good. So
You're fired, Roger Rabbit. I said stop.
the movie comes to the end at that point. Whenever it kind of flashes forward, and he basically sees Annie Wilkes wherever he goes, and
basically in any fan's face.
Well, I mean, he's got straight up PTSD from this.
Yeah.
Like, which of course he does. He was there for like 3 months writing crazy books and getting his arms and legs cut off.
right. But he also said that he feels like the situation helped him.
Well, it helped him to write a badass novel.
Right. And possibly later on a autobiography.
Yeah, which they hint at, but
All in all, fucking fantastic movie.
oh yeah.
I love it.
Oh God, yes. To be honest with you, I'd never seen this movie until you told me what you guys were going to be reviewing.
Really?
And I am
Wow.
so pissed at myself for somehow missing this film for so long.
Well, and we kind of
We
talked
were
on...
kids when it came out, and that's why I missed it.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
I
mean,
read the book, and I had no clue.
I
there was
watched
a
it
movie.
right after reading the book, so I was probably like 12 whenever I saw the movie, and I really enjoyed it.
Well, it
But
came out in what, 91?
90.
90.
And
So we were like 4.
4. Yeah, and also, because it's such a great book, I've read a lot of Stephen King books since that time, and there are some that I've read a few years ago that I really aren't that memorable, but this is the first one I read over 10 years ago, and it still sticks out in my mind like I read it just like last year or something like that. Joel, we had talked on Twitter a few days ago, and I was kind of throwing out some Stephen King movies, and you kind of, I don't remember what you said. You said something about how you didn't think there was really that many good ones, but when you look at the list, there are some you don't think of, like, for instance, The Dead Zone is one of my favorite Stephen King movies, and nobody ever talks about that fucking movie.
No, they don't. Especially not when, they talk about the book, but they don't
Right.
talk about the movie.
The Chris Walken and Martin Sheen.
And directed by Cronenberg.
Cronenberg did that? I had
Yeah.
no idea that he did that.
Wait, Cronenberg directed that?
Yeah, he did.
What is there, an
I'm
echo
sorry.
in here? Yeah, of course he
You
did.
said, but it actually makes sense now.
Yeah.
Like, the style... Now I get it. The
way-
stylized choices that the director made for the movie, it makes sense. It's Cronenberg. Okay, I fucking get it now. It's a better movie.
Yeah, the way everything looks is completely Cronenberg.
Yeah.
From that period, that's the way all his movies look.
Yeah. That was like real close to The Fly, wasn't it?
Yeah, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, it was like
It might have
within
been
a couple
before The
years.
Fly.
No, yeah, it was before.
There are tons of good Stephen King movies. It's just there are way, way more shitty ones.
Well, it's a mixed bag, because it's like, if you look at his movie career, it's a fucking roller coaster.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just like the fantastic highs to the darkest depths.
Yeah, the worst possible, like, made-for-TV garbage shit movies that you would never watch.
Oh, here's one that should be remade. A good version of Desperation.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I really like the book.
I never watched the movie because the book was so good. And I was like, the movie
is
can't be good.
Terrible.
Somebody on Twitter a few days ago told me that was one of their favorite Stephen King movies.
Well, it's always somebody's
It's
favorite.
still terrible.
Really?
Yeah.
It's the Motion Picture Meltdown law.
Yeah, it is.
No matter what it is, some asshole out there, it's their favorite thing.
Are we ready to move on to Sleepwalkers?
Nope, one more thing.
One more
The
thing.
fucking look that he gives right after she hobbles him, she comes home and she's like playing in the yard with her pig, and then she's like, "Oh hi, honey," and he just flips her off. And it's the fucking best thing. So satisfying. It's like, yes, fuck you, bitch. And then that's one of my favorite parts of the movie. So I couldn't let it slide.
That's a hilarious scene too, and I think you sent me that picture, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
just hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like a great meme picture too. Like you could use that picture for anything.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime somebody pisses you off, just send them that picture.
It's a look of complete defeat, but just one last middle finger of defiance. Like, I don't fucking care what you do to me. You've already broke both my feet off. Fuck you.
And now we can
James
move on.
Caan cares not for your bullshit.
No,
There
he
you go.
doesn't.
All right, so Sleepwalkers from 1992, directed by Mick Garris, who would be well known for Critters 2, The Fly 2, also doing the...
Well known for all the shittiest sequels ever.
Well, he did
The
do
Stand.
The Stand. He did the made-for-TV Stand, the made-for-TV The Shining, and Desperation, which we just talked about.
Which is also made for TV.
Yeah. It stars Brian Krause, who, is famous for being in Charmed, Walker, Texas Ranger, and a bunch of straight-to-DVD shit.
And the fucking Loch Ness Terror that we reviewed.
Oh my god.
No way.
Is he the fucking, the cryptozoologist?
Yes.
Oh, shitty.
He's the one that got...
God damn
it. A free place to live and some pussy.
Free pussy, but he'll pay for a place to live.
I think he was implying that they'd both be free.
So, Madchen Amick, who is one of the main characters from Twin Peaks.
Yeah, well, not one of the main characters, but
she's
always on it.
Yeah, I would say she was in almost all the episodes, wasn't she?
Yeah, she always had a...
That's what she's known for, I think.
Right. Also ER and CSI Miami. So, a lot of show people here.
She's pretty hot. She's creepy kind of hot, but, sometimes that's what you want.
Alice Cridge, who was in Thor, she was also the villain from Silent Hill and in Reign of Fire.
Why haven't we talked about fucking Otho being in this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And she was also the Borg Queen in, Star Trek.
Yep.
First Contact, and then all the spin-off shows where she appeared. She actually was one of the first actresses as a young man that I would sneak downstairs at my grandpa's house when I was sleeping over and watch movies and had a titty scene. She's one of the first ones that Joel learned the power of self-love to.
But
she
she's a
holds
nightmare
a special
woman.
place in my cock.
Yeah.
She is a straight nightmare woman now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her face is nightmare.
I don't care, though.
Unless she has her rack out.
I don't care, because in this movie, she's the only character with a major role that is worth a shit. As far as acting goes.
I disagree.
Who is a better main character in this? And don't say the fucking cop, the black cop.
Don't say Ron Perlman.
I won't then.
The black cop was the best character.
He was a fun character, and I liked him the best, but he was so fucking shitty.
But he was the best character.
Did you get any of the clips of him singing?
No, but I did.
Those little
I did
songs.
get this clip of him talking to his cat.
Come on, boy. Come on, boy. Get the bad guy. Get the bad guy. Get the bad guy. Come on, Quilvis. Here we go. Get that motherfucker.
You tell me that's not the best guy.
That part is so good, though.
And that was straight up ad-lib, too. How could that have been written into a script?
And we were talking about his little song on the way here.
Yeah. The one that goes, there goes Johnny with his pecker in his hand. He's a one-ball man, and he's off to the rodeo. Don't worry, that's only the first verse. There's plenty more if you want to check this film
this
out.
guy was like poor man's Anthony Anderson, in my opinion.
Dude, he is completely poor in this movie because he's a cop. You know how they have a canine unit?
Yeah.
He's in the feline unit, apparently. Because he's driving around with a fucking cat.
An attack cat,
It's
apparently.
It's Clovis the attack cat. It says on his collar.
Joel, you reviewed this movie a few months ago. It was your most recent podcast, right?
Yeah.
I think whenever you reviewed this, I listened to your podcast, you said something about how this fucking cat would not just be sitting in this car while it's going 80 miles an hour down the road.
Doing crazy spins.
No, this cat would be on the ceiling going,
or attached to this guy's face.
Yeah, probably that.
Wait a second. We gotta keep in mind, this is a
trained attack cat.
This is a trained police cat. It's it knows to keep its seat and, I guess
it knows how to buckle up.
Yeah. Sniff out drugs.
Call in back up.
Be the only weapon against the supernatural beings known as sleepwalkers. So,
okay, you know what? I'm just going to say this. Let's talk for a second about Sleepwalkers to Misery. I'm sorry, I'm going to hijack this for a second.
All right,
God
go for it.
Fucking damn it. Let's compare these movies. Misery is like a girl at the bar who is somehow just the perfection of genetics. You look at her, she is perfect. Everything put together. Tone, perfect. She's dirty in bed, but the woman you can take home to meet your parents and just flawless on every level. And then you got fucking Sleepwalkers. Woman, when she walks in, you can see the meat flaps hanging out from underneath her legs that are around her. She's just a walking floppy cunt. This
floppy cunt.
No, seriously, this is a floppy cunt of a movie. I'm sorry to your female listeners, however there many may be, but fuck this movie, it's a floppy cunt.
Well, they would probably agree if they had seen it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Which they
honey.
definitely shouldn't, because it's a piece of shit.
I just had to apologize to my girlfriend.
This is a fucking terrible movie, and it would have been great if it was made in 1981. I feel like it is perfect for a 1980s shitty horror movie.
Well, when was it made? 92?
1992, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was the 80s still. I the decade didn't, it didn't turn 1990 New Year's Eve and everybody just threw away their parachute pants. Like, it was continuing on.
Yeah,
and probably into 1995 before the 90s actually had its own style and its own look to movies and shitty jokes.
You know how we always make the reference, and I noticed that, Joel, you've done it a couple times on your podcast too. We always make the reference that this is like 1 year before Jurassic Park. We always fucking say
Jurassic Park is the measuring stick by which all movies are judged.
I have another one, though. This is 1 year after Terminator 2.
Right, but
thought of that.
I mean, but with Sleepwalkers, what are we talking about for the budget? Was this in theaters?
This was this was a $15 million budget. It made twice as much.
Well, there you go. It was a success at being shitty.
I mean,
at being a floppy cunt.
It was the prototype for the Transformer films now. Absolute shit, but you knew we're going to make a profit.
Yeah, we're going to double our money no matter what. Because there's going to be transforming robots.
And I'm assuming this was probably made put in theaters.
That's a pretty high assumption, I think, for a Stephen King film.
I doubt it. I mean, if this was in theaters, it was probably in one. That way they can charge more when they take it to distributors.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this is a
nationwide release. I remember reading about it. It had a full nationwide release.
Well, that's just shameful.
It had full release.
Yeah. Before we get to the plot, I just want to talk about a couple more cast members, and that would be Glenn Shaddix, who, like you said, Philip, was Otho, or as Joel refers to as the fat guy from Beetlejuice.
Mm-hmm.
And also,
but let's not forget
Demolition Man.
The fat guy from Demolition Man.
He's not only the fat guy from Demolition, he's the fat, worthless guy from Demolition Man. He is such a worthless fuck in that movie. I hate it. He gets his ass shot, too, doesn't he? I thought so.
Does he really have any value in any movie that he's been in?
Well, Beetlejuice, yeah.
He tries to jerk somebody off in this movie.
Yeah, that whole scene was fucking weird, but we'll get to that. And then
I don't feel any remorse for him.
And also Ron Perlman was in this, who you'd know from Hellboy and Sons of Anarchy, and he's actually a good friend with Stephen King, so keeps in contact with him on us.
So he throws him into the movie to be a complete douche for the
last
last 2 minutes of the movie.
Douche.
Rapey.
He's like, oh, she just got attacked by her boyfriend? Well, I'll set her straight by raping her. What?
She deserves a good spank on her bottom, and I'm the guy to give it to her. Fuck is this?
Yeah, I actually have that exact quote that you're talking about.
Listen, that little girl needs a good smack on the butt. And if her mama and daddy won't do it, I'll happily volunteer.
I'll happily volunteer to rape her.
I don't think you just get to volunteer to spank teenage girls. I don't think there's like a waiting list like, please come and help volunteer. Help a girl's ass in need.
I volunteer as rapist.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't quite work that way.
Okay, we haven't really described what sleepwalkers are, which the definition from the Chillicoath Encyclopedia of Arcane Knowledge, which doesn't exist. They are the basis of vampire lore, and they're werecats. So they're shape-shifting werecats. That's all they are.
See, Steven doesn't think they look like cats.
Joel, do you think these things look anything like cats?
Is that a real question?
That's what I...
Because the answer is no.
Okay, I thought they looked like Joe Camel fucked Dracula.
Granted, yes, at times he does look like Joe Camel. And other times he looks like John Malkovich. Which is unexplainable. But he really, really does. And yeah, other times he looks like a 4-year-old.
I still just never saw one scene in this movie where he looked like an actual cat.
All the times when he was in the, right before he turns into Joe Camel. He had the, slit in his nose. He looked like the Beast from the live-action Beauty and the Beast with Sarah Connor.
Which was Ron Perlman, by the way.
Right. Tie it right on back. He looks just like that. I can't believe that was Ron Perlman.
Yeah,
really?
Obviously Ron Perlman.
He has Beast makeup on. I can tell.
He didn't need the makeup.
Because he already is a Beast?
Yeah. He already looks like a monster.
He's a missing link. Obviously.
Oh my goodness.
So, these sleepwalkers are new in town. It's this boy and his mother who are very...
Well, we skipped the opening scene, which was Murder Fest for Cats 2000,
Which were all a bunch of taxidermied cats, by the way.
Of course. Well, they better be.
Yeah.
Or else I'm done with Stephen King. Murdering 100 cats?
He didn't do it. It's not like Stephen King was like, hey, let's murder these cats on film.
Hey, I hold him responsible. He wrote the damn thing.
You just go to, your local... what do they call those places where they kill pets?
Oh, the animal shelter.
Animal shelter.
Where they kill pets.
You go to your animal shelter. It's like, hey, give me all the dead cats you got. I'll take every single one of them off your hands.
We got a lot of
Step right up and get some dead cats.
We got a lot of dead cats to hang around this house.
Yeah, you know, in case
and
you
slam against the wall.
Yeah.
In case you need to make violin strings or anything, they keep the dead cats around. And they,
So this boy and his mother, who are very incesty, by the way, just
Yeah,
the most incesty.
Well, but I mean, they have an
They
excuse.
wasted
There's
no
no
time on
other.
incest.
There's
We're
no
5
other.
minutes and 32 seconds into the film. There's incest. I timed it.
And they don't even like play around with the fact that it's like, oh, they just immediately are dancing together and like dirty
dancing.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, are you jealous, Mom, of all the dick I'm about to give this other girl?
Well, no, because he can't do that because they have to be virgins.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's like, you know what? If you're aiming for virgins, try somebody who's under 23 years old. It's just a tip for those.
For the sake of argument,
the
she
virgins
wasn't
hunters
supposed
out
to be
there.
in her mid-20s.
A tip for the Ron Perlmans out there.
Ooh,
I'm so glad I've gotten to experience the Motion Picture Meltdown trope of rape talk.
Well, I mean, but it's every movie. Every fucking movie. I never realized it until I thought about it.
This is just a product of rape culture, that's all.
That's what it is.
It's not our fault.
No, it's the rape culture agenda.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Joel,
Just like the gay agenda.
They put it in all the fucking movies, that's why.
Let's get back to the plot of this movie. He has to go out and find him some virgin meat to bring back to his mother.
Which, there's a huge plot point that they don't talk about. Apparently, to suck the soul out of someone, or the life force, you have to take them to a specific graveyard. Because you couldn't do it when they're conveniently in your fucking house, or when you're giving them a ride home and they're completely alone and helpless.
Yeah.
You have to wait, for no reason, until you are by yourself and have no backup, no mom nearby to turn into her monster form and destroy everything.
Hey.
With a piece of corn.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're shapeshifters.
Yeah.
Let me run this past you. See if this works.
They have other magic too.
She's in the car with let's say you're the shapeshifter.
I'm the shapeshifter. Okay.
She's in the car with you. Shapeshift into something that doesn't have any doors. That way she can't escape. And then what the fuck is she gonna do?
Yeah, she's just gonna claw at you. You're invulnerable, pretty much. I mean, you get shot, your eyes gouged out, and you don't even care. It's like you're fine until you get. Yeah.
Only cats can kill them completely. Because
apparently, he's never heard
allergic.
of just exactly. Just eliminate the fact that there are doors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Or make the door just
movie over.
Make the door handle invisible and just don't have it be a convertible.
Let's not forget that the son who's Charlie, I think that's his name, in his mother's house is just completely surrounded by bear traps filled with cat food, so that the cat's drawn and killed.
Well, it's not quite cat food. It's just straight up raw meat.
Right. But
cow hearts and what.
I love how every couple of minutes in the movie that you're at that house, you just hear meow, just in the background. There's just snap, meow. Got another one.
Mom just standing at the window going, come on, you motherfucker, get in the trap.
So shitty. It is a bucket of dick.
I figured
but there's so much delicious terribleness.
Yeah, and that's why. And you guys are going to hate me, but I sort of like this movie. I sort of do. I totally acknowledge that it is a massive, colossal pile of feces.
If you took away a couple little things, like the straight-up corn murder, that if you took that out, you took out the black guy, this movie would be worthless.
The black guy, you mean the cop kebab?
Yeah.
You take him out of the movie?
Yeah. I'm saying if you took their characters out, like, if you basically would ruin anything worthy of anything about this movie.
Yeah, the black cop, even though he gets killed, it's like he's the only one really responsible for advancing the plot in the whole middle of the movie.
Oh, you mean when he goes and talks to the completely just racist, I don't give a shit what this black guy's saying, other police officers in the movie?
You mean his co-workers?
Yeah.
And this, by the way, this has to have been some kind of for real trained police cat, because it just chills in his outbox while he's talking to these other cops. It's just like, well, this is where I live, in this outbox, until I get sit into the passenger seat.
Police shock collar on the cat. That's really what it is.
So, we forgot to talk about how Ferris Bueller's dad is in this movie.
Oh yeah, he plays...
And his mom.
Apparently, he's just
both
good.
Of them?
Yeah, both his parents, both Ferris Bueller's parents are in the movie.
Are they
as her parents?
So
are you fucking kidding me?
So she's Ferris Bueller's sister.
In an alternate universe, yes.
Or maybe she's Ferris Bueller in an alternate universe.
Maybe she was so traumatized by this that it caused her to lose her mind and get a sex change and turn into the most charismatic person in high school.
Oh, so that explains it. Ferris Bueller is, as a virgin, as a female, he's a 23-year-old virgin.
Yes.
Because he hasn't had sex as a female yet.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
We're getting to the bottom of this.
The movie is now coming together. I'm suddenly hating it less. Nope.
Did not work.
So he takes her to this graveyard, and
for rubbings.
Yeah, there's
so many rubbings jokes. It's like, oh, definitely, I'll get some excellent rubbings while I'm at the graveyard with your daughter. Rubbings, and then he just gets 2 inches from her face and just says rubbings.
It was at that point in the movie, I'm just like, someone just say jerk off. Someone just say, I just wanted him to look at the mom and be like, your daughter's gonna jerk me off. It said it's rubbing, subtlety, not here.
God, imagine if he did say that to his dad.
He wouldn't have cared because Ferris Bueller's dad does not care.
He doesn't.
All he cares about is the Sausage King of Chicago.
Let's just say that you're a monster. And you're going to high school.
We don't have to. Steven doesn't have to imagine that.
I know, but would you do a oral report about what type of monster you are?
Oh, I know, dude. That is like the total. I talk about this all the time. It's like the total
things you should watch out for in people that are of my kind. I mean, of this kind.
Right. It's like when serial killers elude that they are serial killers, but they say it by saying somebody else is doing it. Like. The guy that just killed this hooker in an alley last night tells a story about this friend that just killed a hooker in an alley last night.
Yeah. Like, oh, I got this friend, not me, definitely, but he definitely killed tons of people.
Yeah, I definitely I mean, they...
I just know a guy that murdered... He's just a murderer.
I mean, I saw it on the news.
So... What we were talking about as far as the corn kebab,
No, not the corn kebab, the cop kebab.
The cop kebab. Well, there's two things. There's the corn stabbed through the back.
Yeah.
Which I don't think there's enough force that you could apply to a corn.
I feel like
corn on the cob.
I feel like Shaq could stab you with a corn cob.
No, I mean he couldn't. No. Like he could stab me with it, and I would probably it might break my bones. It would not stab into my back like a knife. It just isn't sharp. It's a very blunt object.
We need to myth bust this movie.
Yeah, we're going to test to see if someone can be stabbed in the back of corn.
Let's go get a pig carcass.
Yep.
And we'll blow up some corn and figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, the best part is that the fucking straight-up Arnold Schwarzenegger one-liner immediately following it. No vegetables, no dessert.
Oh.
Those are the rules. Because it apparently didn't eat enough corns on the cob. He had already eaten like 30.
No vegetables, no dessert.
Those are the rules.
God fucking damn it. Now, this is a shitty horror movie. At no fucking point should there be witty action movie one-liners or witty action movie music, because that music right there is not a horror movie. It's something you'd expect to fucking hear in the climax of a Schwarzenegger action film.
What about this line?
Cop kebab!
God fucking damn it. Because he's all calm, cool, collected, he's creepy, and then all of a sudden he just turns into a fucking court jester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where the fuck...
This whole part was so shitty because he stabbed the cop in the ear with a pencil or a pen?
Yeah. It's a pencil. It's
pencil.
a straight up brand new number 2 like Ticonderoga pencil.
Yeah. And then he proceeds to fall on it, jamming it even further into his brain. And as you said, Philip, making the jammed into my brain sound. Right?
Something just stabbed all the way to my other ear through my head.
I did like that effect.
Well, yeah, that
was
effect,
an awesome
effect was cool, and so was the effect when Otho lost his hand.
Yeah,
that effect was cool too. But it just didn't make any sense because 2 seconds later, the cop got up and still was able to aim and shoot his pistol.
And then,
which
you
is
didn't fire
horseshit.
a warning shot, officer. Okay, just the one thing that just sent this movie completely off the rails for me was that the whole time we're setting up for this scene that he's going to try to get this girl's soul out of her at the cemetery while he's doing rubbings. So
he should have tried to get the soul out of her vagina.
The one thing. Can I say something about that scene real quick? She bashes the fucking shit out of his head with that camera.
Fuck
by the way.
Yeah, and that was a no shit camera. That was before like digital plastic bullshit.
Yeah.
This was a straight up like it's probably made of iron.
All right, go on.
And it gives a crazy gash in his forehead. So anyway, she smokes him in the head with that thing. And the whole time leading up to this scene, he has a million opportunities to steal her soul. And it's like, well, the only rationale I can think of why he wouldn't do it is if he's just hesitant to do it. Which is supported by his dialogue with his mom. He's like, does it have to be this girl? We can find a different version and suck out their essence, whatever. And then it's like, okay, yeah, he must be hesitant about it. And then he gets to the graveyard scene, and he thinks it's the funniest thing ever. And he's just like, I'm just stealing your soul, bitch! It's like, where did this attitude come from? 5 minutes ago you were like, does it have to be her? I'm kind of falling for her a little... No.
It tries
don't care anymore.
It tries to give you that little smidge of, I give a shit about her whatsoever, even though he clearly does not.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, that was the only thing making me think, okay, maybe that's why he hasn't already done it. Like, he had a perfect fucking opportunity. She had giant scissors. Where did those even come from?
He went home and fucked his mom, and she convinced him that he needed fucking...
Via fucking.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, who amongst us here hasn't fucked their mother and been convinced to do something that you weren't quite sure of?
Well...
all three of us.
Yeah, I'm gonna go...
Well, then you clearly have not lived, because until you've covered yourself in baby oil and put purple lights in the room and fucked the shit out of your lizard mother, you just haven't been living.
Lizard.
Joe Camel sausage mom.
Dude, he totally fucking looked like Joe Camel. Like,
that one. Well, you'll put the screenshot up.
Yeah.
It's straight up Joe Camel, and then he immediately turns into fucking John Malkovich.
And the funny thing is that scene is him driving in a car, and there's so many fucking Joe Camel pictures where Joe Camel's just chilling in like a Cadillac, looking out the fucking side of his car. And I'm like, that is fucking Joe Camel.
Yeah.
Just fucking terrible. So
I think we've covered everything good.
Pretty close.
There's a weapon at one point where someone throws a bear trap. 100% impossible. That would never work.
Also, we didn't mention...
The whole point of a bear trap is that it's like on a hair, ready to snap shut.
Right. It's like throwing a mousetrap at somebody.
Well, I mean, a mousetrap would be a little bit more likely
That's
to
the
hold.
most evil thing
it
you've
doesn't
ever
weigh
said.
2 pounds.
What?
Throwing a mousetrap at somebody. Damn, you evil.
Yeah. But also the cats, whenever they attack... Like,
that's so good.
Yeah. It, like, melts that guy's face, like, a lot. But whenever they all start attacking the mom, she just explodes into fireworks. Yeah.
That's what happens when you get... That's the advanced stages of cat scratch fever. You literally burst into flames because of your fever.
So that's what Ted Nugent was talking about.
Oh, another really silly, like... totally makes this movie worth watching moment is whenever the kid, the guy of the movie, Charlie, he's dead, or we think he's dead, he's pretty much dead, and his mom straight up Weekend at Bernie's dances him up from the couch and then makes her dance with him. It's like, what?
And the weird thing about that is, it's like, the movie makes you think that he's dead, and then she animates him to where he's...
And now you're positive he's dead.
Yeah, you're positive he's dead. And then he comes back to life just to be killed instead.
Yeah, for no reason he comes back to life.
And this is right before Ron Perlman gets his fucking fingers chewed off by his mom, which is awesome looking, by the way.
Yeah.
See, it's like...
And no one's mentioned the movie trope that this one has, which is the one gun to rule them all.
Yeah. Oh, where she shoots the fucking cop car and it bursts into flames? It's like, oh, maybe it was a lucky shot. Nope, does the same thing to the other.
Where does one find this kind of firepower? Because I want that. I want to just shoot the back window of someone's car and then it explodes.
You know what it was? It was Ron Perlman's gun from Hellboy.
Yep.
Well played, sir.
I was thinking that she was using some of her cat powers.
Cat magic.
Yeah, her cat
magic. Then why would she need a gun at all?
Well, you got to deliver the cat magic somehow.
Yeah.
You put a little cat magic on a bullet, and then you shoot
so
it
this
something.
is like in Jaws 2, whenever he melts wax and cyanide on the tips of the bullets, and that's
there
a
you
thing
go.
that works.
You melt some magic on.
Yep. She actually melted the magic into the bullets.
Okay.
Mix
so,
it all up.
Clovis not only being invincible and awesome at riding in cars and be really good at attacking and seeing
He's like
aliens.
cat battalion leader.
Yeah, he straight up hurls himself through a fucking window pane, and this isn't like you're shattering into a tiny little pieces window that you had the safety ones that you have now. This just breaks into like 10 shards of glass that would cut that cat in half, and it doesn't even care. It's like, oh, a window. Fuck you, window, and just runs right through it.
It's so funny because for this scene, I just feel like this is how they filmed it. Some guy stood outside the house and was just whirling a dead cat by its tail and just fucking flung it through the window.
You're the worst.
I feel like that's what happened. Whirling dead cat through the window.
The most... They had one of those big slingshots, that you see on the internet where the squirrel gets thrown. It's just like a big slingshot, and they just shot that cat through there.
Or put it into a potato gun and shot it through the window.
Oh, even better.
I think if you look at this movie, the technically most amazing thing that they did
was arrange the cats.
I mean, getting the cats to all run together, look like they're going someplace.
Yeah.
It's like, how the fuck did they do that?
I know, because normally cats don't give a shit.
Yeah, this might have been the most cats ever on screen. But most real cats. I mean, there were no CG cats. These were all real cats running around, chilling out, like 40 cats chilling in a yard together. What?
And they all actually...
Well, they had to have been sedated.
They were hypnotized.
They were all trained to fucking do shit like that. All these cats were fucking trained actors. No, like, it's fucked up. Like, the scenes where all
the cat's pissed. He's like, I'm in Sleepwalkers. I was doing Shakespeare last week. Yeah.
I had a really bad run on coke, and I did Sleepwalkers. No, but that scene where all those cats are jumping on the woman... That was real. Like, they covered her in fucking cat food and put cat food, like, under her arms.
Yeah, you can fucking tell it's real. Yeah. It's awesome. That was an achievement. While the rest of this movie was whatever the opposite of an achievement is.
I really only have one more thing to add. 2 weeks in a row, we get a gorilla press in this movie. She gorilla presses like a cop over her head and drops him on a picket fence.
Yes! I totally forgot about that.
She kills the shit out of that guy.
Yeah. Once again, if it was one picket, I could see it stabbing through him. But if you drop somebody on a picket fence and they landed on it evenly, they would just fall off. Like, these aren't razor blades. Yeah. It's just wooden.
I know. It would probably stab him.
It would hurt him, but he wouldn't stab right through it like it's a... Dude, just imagine the weight distributed over the top of 12 pickets.
Okay, you're talking about physics now. You gotta forget about that. And it's like, what's better than one stabbing? How about 10 stabbings?
At once!
Yeah. It would have been better if the tops of the fence were just corn on the cob. Like, she threw him into the field of corn, and he just got impaled on all the tops of the corn.
15 corns.
What if everything in the movie was corn on the cob? Then we'd have a really amazing movie.
Well, we already have corn on the cob and cop kebab.
Yeah. That part totally reminded me of Troll 2. You remember that? In Troll 2, didn't she stab somebody with a corn on the cob?
I can't remember if she stabs him. I know that there's the
scene
where they're making out and they have the corn in between them and it's popping.
Somebody's just throwing popcorn on him from the fucking sides. Yeah.
Why are we talking about Troll 2?
Because it's an infinitely better movie than this hunk of shit.
I'd
rather watch Speed 2, Cruise Control, than watch this movie ever
fucking didn't.
Yes, I did. I went there.
I would watch this movie 10 times a day for 100 days. Not all my life, like I would say.
This comment that you're making, Philip, is why Joel wrote that on iTunes. Isn't it, Joel?
No, there's a different story about that.
We want to hear that. That was one thing we wanted to hear.
So, I had this girlfriend when I was living in New Albany. She went out with her friends one night at the bar. Comes back in the morning, crying. I was like, what's wrong, baby? She proceeded to tell me about a time that at the bar that she met this guy. They hooked up, and I wanted to kill this guy. And I asked, what was his name? And she told me his name. Years later, I'm listening to the Motion Picture Meltdown podcast for the first time. Whose name do you think suddenly came on over the microphone?
Well, that's bizarre. I've never hooked up with someone at a bar, so...
I was just making it up.
I was like, I don't remember that, but...
I'm just making it up. I don't have a problem.
I was going to ask whether maybe you meant the Phil Collins.
There are that many Phil Collinses running around.
I tried not to cheat on you, but he started saying coming in the air tonight.
And then he started actually coming in the air. Oh my god.
Holy shit.
What the fuck?
I got some listener feedback. You guys want to finish this up and go into listener feedback?
Quickly.
I can't believe we have listener feedback. I'm so excited.
We got quite a bit. First of all, well, I put up some questions on Twitter and Facebook. I said, what Stephen King book / story would you like to be made into a movie? Jared from Return to the Living podcast said, Cell is being made into a movie. You mentioned that earlier, Philip.
Yep.
It is my favorite Stephen King book, and I think it'll be pretty badass. I have not read that, Jared. Have you, Philip?
No, I haven't, but it just reminds me of that pretend plot from Sarah Marshall, where they're talking about the cell phone that kills people.
Oh, God. Pulse is that movie that you're thinking of, and also it reminds me of that movie.
That's a real movie?
Yeah, Pulse. That's a real movie.
It's more like ghosts that are in the, in like a cell...
In the
cellular,
Wi-Fi,
Yeah, and Kristen Bell's in it.
So that we're literally talking about that
About
movie.
Pulse, yeah.
I had no idea. I thought it was a pretend movie.
No, that's real.
Well, she should be fucking ashamed. Go ahead.
Our buddy Matt said, I wasn't the biggest fan of the books, but they should do a Dark Tower series finally. And also, our friend Brandy said Dark Tower. I think the Dark Tower series would be much more well fitted for a HBO miniseries.
Amen.
I could see that for sure.
Than a actual movie series.
Definitely an HBO one though, because they are the only ones that could do it justice as far as the epicness of like the budget
and the
everything.
effects and everything like that. Now, being that Game of Thrones is already out, a lot of people would probably be like, "Oh, this is just ripping off Game of Thrones."
It's nothing like Game of Thrones.
Well, it's got that medieval aspect into it.
No, not really. It's more like a western than anything.
No, it's like a medieval western. Like
well, apparently you've not read it.
I have read 4 of the books. If you took Western times,
there's nothing medieval about it.
There's a lot of medieval and magic about it. Like,
well, I mean, it's definitely fantasy. There's a lot of fantasy stuff in it, but it doesn't make it medieval by default. Everyone does not fight with axes and maces. Thusly, it is not medieval.
Okay.
All right, agree to
disagree. But there are wizards and things like that. So the medieval fantasy aspect is what I'm thinking of when you look at,
because it's in the same genre, people would automatically assume it's a ripoff.
Yeah.
Well,
because people are fucking retarded, and that's what they do.
Well, it's more about the one fucking guy instead of 2,000 people, so it's automatically not like the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I would watch it. You would watch it.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I don't know that
is a really good idea. That's what they should do. Because it would be a terrible 25 years of movies that it would take.
Yeah, they would make 2 movies for each fucking book, and
yeah, it would be Harry Potter, but to the extreme, like 5,000 times.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the first Dark Tower book, The Gunslinger, would take like 4 episodes, and that's it, in my opinion. They could do...
Well, I mean, but they could easily stretch it out to a full season. They could do a season, and it would still get done in a timely fashion.
Do 1 book per season or something. Yeah, I could see that. What about you, Joel? You think that'd be a good idea?
I think yes, a TV show on either Showtime or HBO would be a great idea. Because if not, you're going to run the risk of falling into the World War Z problem.
Where you've got an epic series of books, and then you just make one terrible movie.
And they had rumored a miniseries about it a while ago, and they had said Javier Bardem would be a good Roland, and I could see that. I could see him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
That'd be pretty tight.
And also, Sean Moriarty from Nerds on Film podcast said the Dark Tower series, which I know is tied into The Stand, so we could use a bigger theatrically released version of that too. Well, there is a new Stand movie that is in pre-production right now. Yeah. So which means it could easily be canceled. A lot of things get stopped in that phase. I think New Line Cinema, which is owned by Warner Brothers, just actually picked up for sure doing It and The Stand. Okay. So I think it is
literally doing It.
The movie It, yeah. And then one last piece of feedback came from Cameron on Twitter, and she said, "Okay guys, 5 minutes into Battlefield Earth episode and I'm laughing my ass off. Plus you're saying everything I thought watching it. I can't believe you didn't brave talking about Highlander, Final Dimension, and Endgame, or The Source," and she's referring to the Highlander episode for that. And this is my rebuttal to you, Cameron. The reason that we did not go over those movies is that they're... Number 1, Philip and I do not have the strength nor the hard alcohol to hold Mark down and make him watch those movies. Because, just no.
Well, he's not on the podcast anymore, though. I mean, not always.
Yeah.
DeHart will watch fucking anything.
I saw one of those back in the 90s when it was newish. And,
funny, it doesn't look newish.
And after that, I stopped.
Thank you, Cameron, for your comment.
Yeah.
Maybe someday we'll get around to the 35 sequels to Island.
But until then, we have way more like action movie sequels like Speed 2 to do.
And before we move on from it's like she actually used a feature in... If you use the podcast app on your iPhone or iPod, there's an option like where you can share a podcast. and she used that and tweeted out, hey, this is a podcast I listen to.
Fuck yeah.
And that was really cool of her, and I would suggest other people do that if you like the show.
Yeah. Thank you, Cameron.
Awesome.
And everyone else, if you love the show, do that.
Yeah, and if you have feedback, just hit us up on Twitter or Facebook, and we will address it on the show.
Yeah, all of it.
Especially if
I don't care if we have to do a whole podcast of just feedback.
Especially if your name is Joel and
your feedback is Philip Blows.
All right. Well,
I wanted to make a good impression.
Well, he gave us 5 stars, so it's all
there.
good.
Let's go balls all the way up.
Yeah, Philip would let you lick out his asshole if you gave him 5 stars on the podcast.
Well, I mean,
don't threaten me with a good time.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and finish this thing up. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can find us at MPM Podcast. Joel, you can find your podcast Twitter at Fuel Neve, right?
Yep.
And that is FUELNEVE. Your podcast is entitled
The Pod People Podcast.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Which is on iTunes. That's where I downloaded it from.
Yep.
And you can also go to podpeoplecast.com. And if you have any complaints about my gratuitous use of the word cunt, feel free to get a hold of me at thepodpeoplepodcast@gmail.com.
Also, you can find us...
We love the word cunt on this podcast.
Yeah, we use cunt quite often.
Miserable.
I would almost say that we use cunt a contortionarily lot.
That didn't make any sense.
That's fantastic.
It will be stricken from the record.
Wait, I like Cuntastic, though.
Cuntastic can stay.
Check out some other podcasts that we listen to. Nerdonomy, who present Nerds on Film and Nerds on History. Check out Return of the Living Podcast. Sound Exploder, the Cracked Podcast, as well as Talks Over Games and Unitedcypher Presents. Check out Empire Comics as well as fivefingertees.com for awesome shirts and cards and comics, shirts. All sorts of that fun stuff.
There should be a Sleepwalker shirt that just says
there is not one.
Cop Kebab, and it has the black dude with a pencil out of his ear.
Well, it should be that guy with the pencil in his ear in his song. It's like all the lyrics for the song.
Or it just says, "Get the bad guy, motherfucker! Get the motherfucker!"
Alright, I'd buy that shirt.
Alright, well, I am one of your hosts, Stephen the Roast Rosenberg.
Phil the Kill Collins.
And DeHart.
And Joel, we thank you for joining our podcast, and we hope to have you again on soon.
Absolutely. I have no social life, so please.
Awesome. And maybe sometime we can come in and
join you on your
podcast.
Oh, hell yes.
So, alright, well, we will see you next time.
Stop me now.
Yeah.